So, my name is Chip Crane. I am a Security Technical Business Unit Executive for all of North America for IBM. I'll give you a minute to write that down. I don't expect it to resonate, don't worry. What hopefully does resonate for you is that I reported to the CISO of a global retailer for a large part of my career. Great guy, his name was Paul, and I had the luxury to work with him day in and day out. Fantastic guy. He would literally go to Europe and leave me in charge in North America. I would fill in for him in project meetings, committee meetings, board meetings. I really had a chance to kind of sit in his chair for long periods of time. And then he was such a nice guy, he would no longer enjoy Europe for a little while, so he would come home and send me over there for a little while to go do the job over there. So I had the luxury to be in that role. I also picked up the nomenclature of the role, and I built myself a little network of CISOs. So I like to believe that when they hired me at IBM, some guy goes, wow, who hired this guy? Look at his resume. He has exclusive CISO experience. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to put him in front of CISOs all the time. Now, it more than likely really went something like this. Oh my gosh, who hired this guy, right? Have you seen his resume? He knows nothing but CISO stuff. But regardless of how that went down, it's not uncommon for me to talk to 4, 5, 6, 7 CISOs in a week, from the smallest of companies to where they wear multiple hats, all the way into some of the largest organizations you know, where they have boards that report to the CISO kind of thing, right? So I had the luxury to build these relationships, spend a lot of time with them. I meet with these CISOs. I get to know them pretty well. And I started this informal survey, quite by accident, by the way. And I need to tell you ahead of time, this was not a scientific survey. This was Chip asking a question. And it was one of those classic scenarios to where the guy had started in the security department and worked his way up to that now he was the CISO. And it was the first time we'd met after he had become the CISO. And in doing so, I just asked him, hey, how does it feel to be a CISO? The same way you ask someone on their birthday, how does it feel to be a year older? Just as a lark, right? The guy gave me this response that I was stunned by. I mean, it was almost like he had thought this question out before I'd shown up, and he gave me a very meaningful answer to it. So I said, okay, and really didn't think too much about it until I got in front of the next CISO, and I thought, I should ask that same question, and I did. And another thoughtful answer came out. So all of a sudden, I started this pattern of I would actually show up and do the, we got a technical problem, sir? There we go, I fixed it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Thank you, sir. I won't walk by it anymore. If it makes you feel better, sure. Thank you, sir. So I asked the question of the next CISO, right? They give me this thoughtful answer. I'm a geek. I'll self-admit I'm a security geek, so I take notes on my meetings, right? Yeah, we're going to have to tape that, I guess, sir. Well, no, I just need to stand right here. Magic. Like every other IT situation you've ever been in. So, sorry about this. The reality is I just kept asking the question and taking notes on my plane rides home, right? So I would do these. And, eventually on my 6th or 7th flight of the week, I must have run out of Netflix downloads, I guess. I'm not real sure what happened, but I actually decided to start reading these answers and just kind of compiling, a very non-scientific survey, right? So, with this, I was stunned, absolutely stunned by 2 things as I looked at this. One is that if you'll bring me my bag, sir, I will fix this problem. Yeah, really, if you'll bring me the bag, I'll pull that my whole bag, unfortunately. I didn't think to get it out ahead of time. We'll get rid of this one and pick another one. Sorry, team. I appreciate your patience. But I'm stunned by 2 things, right? Now I feel like I have to refresh you on where we're at. I'm on a plane ride. I'm reading all these notes. Remember that? Okay, all right, good. You guys are keeping up. You're doing really good here. So I'm reading the notes, and it just blows me away. The first thing is how much thought they sincerely put into this. Yeah, let's do this. Let's just switch adapters. Could you sing for them for a moment?
I don't know any song.
Dance? Do you dance at all? Jokes? What do you have, man? Come on, give me something.
I have a few jokes.
Yeah, I've got a few jokes. Is that working?
Not at all.
Not at all?
So listen, I have another one like this.
Okay. I'm very confused. Yep, playing, reading stuff on the plane while he's taking care of our technical difficulties. I'm stunned by the answers, right? They've put a tremendous amount of thought into it. In fact, this is true. I say this is a true story. I need to tell you everything I'm going to tell you from here on out is hypothetical because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, right? So they tell me I'm getting up from lunch. I'm getting ready to go to a plane. So I've met with the CISO. We had a great lunch. I get up and I walk away. And he stops me and he says, hey, you didn't ask me how it feels to be a CISO. So they were actually enjoying this kind of emotional side of the job. So I asked, how does it feel to be a CISO? He gave me his answer. I noted it. There you go. But so the amount of energy they were putting into it and the thought they were putting into it ahead of time was just phenomenal. Then the second piece that just blew me away was how much overlap there was. I'm asking all of these different CISOs, right? And I'm basically getting almost the exact same answer. Now, it's different, right? It varies a little bit, but ultimately it's the same. So I've boiled this down to two anecdotal stories I want to share with you, all right? The first one is, I'd been in the role about 1.5 years, all right? Fairly mature organization. I'll tell you a 7 out of 10, and I believe the US DoD is maybe a 9 out of 10, right? So 7 out of 10 is pretty good. So he said, Chip, he says, I have to be honest. He says, I knew what I was getting into when I took the job. I had gotten promoted through the ranks. I was very familiar with the organization. I knew what to expect. So I knew it was a 1,000-mile journey to get to where we needed to go. I knew I was going to have to walk each and every step of that 1,000 miles. Furthermore, I knew it was across a desert. I knew my best case scenario was hot sand, was going to have to face cacti, broken glass, scorpions, rattlesnakes. I knew how hard this was. I said, okay, what's the problem? He says, I got a great team. My team and I will take any hill they put in front of us. So I know we can do this and we'll go and we'll make this happen. I said, okay, I'm still not hearing the problem. He said, the problem is when we get to the top of the hill, we're not sure that's the right hill we should be on. There are no landmarks out here. There's no fence around what I need to protect, Chip. Consume that for a moment. I won't tell you the name of the company because you would recognize it. This is a C-level guy. He's worked 10 years to get this role. He's on the board, if you will. He gets a seat at the table. And what does he say? I don't know if we're going in the right direction. Second story. She's a lady. She's been doing this for about 5 years, very good at her job. They're about an 8 out of 10, so a very mature organization. And she goes, oh, you want to know how it feels to be a CISO? Let me tell you how it feels to be a CISO. Imagine an NFL stadium, packed with your adversaries. Not just ticketed seat holders. We're talking about the stairways are packed, the concessions are packed, the bathrooms, the causeways, everything is absolutely packed. You stand in the center on the 50-yard line. You have no idea if they are all working together. You have no idea if they're immediately coming after you or if they're going to spread this out over days. You have no idea what technology they have at their disposal. You don't know which angle they're coming at. You don't even know when the game starts. You don't know when the game is over. You stand in the 50-yard line wearing a blindfold and nothing else. How does she feel? All right, this is interactive. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that. My bad. This is interactive. How does she feel? Excited? You've got a weird sense of excitement, but I'm a skydiver, so I'll go with you, brother. But yeah. So she feels confused. She feels confused. She feels very, very vulnerable. Right? She's standing in front of all of her enemies on the 50-yard line wearing nothing but a blindfold. This is how the CISOs feel. Like it or not, enjoy my anecdotal stories or not, the truth is this is how the CISOs feel. Let me give you the reality version of this. I'm in my office on a Monday morning. It's a nice fall Monday morning. I remember it very clearly, fortunately or unfortunately. My CISO, Paul, is somewhere else, probably Europe. His door is dark and locked, and our CTO, Pat, wanders his way upstairs, right? Because he's home in our office. So I'm sure he went to Paul's office first. Paul's not there. Our doors are adjacent, so he just walks into mine. Pat and I talked about a couple of things, right? We talked about football. We talked about golf. We talked about our kids. I think I'm done, right? because Pat is physically walking out of my office. He's literally turned and walking out of my office. So I'm kind of like, thank you, Lord. Good. I can get some work done now, right? He stops, turns around, and says, Chip, I just have one question for you. When I remember, he's our CTO. At the time, he controlled a large portion of my budget. So I want to answer Pat's question. And besides that, I'm a pretty nice guy. I really do want to answer the guy's question, right? Pat looks at me and he says, here's the one question. I said, sure, man. He says, are we secure? I didn't find it quite so humorous, but yeah. So what's Chip trying to do? Chip's an engineer, right? So I'm trying to math my way out of this problem, right? I've got this many data centers. In the U.S., I got this many data centers outside the U.S. We just enabled these trucks with these cool IP satellite devices that can go and get things. It is amazing how much math I'm trying to solve this problem with. What does Pat see? A not very attractive blank stare, right? Yeah. So he says, Chip, let me make it easier for you. Are we going to get hacked today? Not that much easier, Pat. So again, I revert to math because I'm not smart enough to do something else, and that by the grace of the good Lord, literally divine intervention, Pat dissipates out of my office and I never said another word. Here's my question for you. Is that a reasonable question? Yeah? You think so? I disagree with all of you. Absolutely. I did that day anyway. I will be honest. They tell me I cleared 3 rings of cubes around my office. I was so livid. I was not happy. I mean, we did $52 billion that year in revenue. $52 billion. You're the CTO of a $52 billion company, and you're going to ask me that question of your security guy? You have to be kidding me. You know better than this. There's no way this is a valid question. Was it a valid question? I'm embarrassed to tell you how long it took me to get to that, but yes, it was a valid question. The question was a valid question, and the reason the question was a valid question was because that's what Pat's stakeholders were asking Pat. They didn't ask him, do we have the firewalls in place? They didn't ask him if our policies were up to date. They didn't ask him, were we practicing defense in depth? You know, have we considered the threat vectors? Are we signed up for SANS? And they didn't ask him all that. What are they asking? They ask him, are we secure? Are we going to get hacked? It's the same question your stakeholders are asking you. Now, sometimes it comes in different forms of the question. How are we doing on compliance, right? What's our security posture? But ultimately, they're asking you, are we secure? That's what they're asking you, right? So, and it's because their stakeholders are asking them that same question. Okay, I've exhausted all my resources until we can write on a whiteboard. Has anyone given a demo lately? You ever had this experience at home? Okay. Can I borrow one more piece of tape? And $5. And if you say yes to the 5, then it was 20. And then if you'll switch that in the back. Okay, all right. Well, yeah, let's tape this right here, and we'll at least get partially through. And then we'll interrupt them, and you can do the Jeopardy song, and everything will be fine.
Waiting for this. You had trouble with this?
I have not normally, but it was giving me trouble today, so there you go. Oh. Can we switch that? Yep. Because when the light's on, we're good to go. Don't mess with it. Lights on. Don't touch. Okay. So they told me I have the rest of the day. That's why I'm not real worried about this. So what I would really like to do is I would like to talk about the logical architectures of all the projects you guys are currently working on. Don't worry, we'll just go quickly table by table and we'll put those up there. Is that okay? Trust me, it'll be all right, I promise. So, what's the one asset IT has, period? Data, right? People are great assets, not questioning that, but I would like to believe we don't own them. Maybe we should have a talk later, but I think we do own the data. Is that fair? So I would argue that data is our biggest asset. Now I'm drawing this cool little relational database symbol around that data. Is our data relationally stored anymore? It's interactive, right? Still interactive. Do we know where this data is? I would almost dare someone to raise their hand, because I'm going to call you out if you can tell me you know where all your data is. Because I'm going to tell you, you mean you have no one with a thumb drive, no one with an extra laptop, because it exists, right? So the reality is we don't know where that is. So what do we do? What do we do as IT? That's right, we write apps. That's exactly right, good job. So we write applications, and we pay coders to do this. And the reason we pay coders to do it is because we want this fast and efficient, right? So we pay a coder to go talk to a data steward or a data owner, and then they figure out where the data is, they write a query, and that's what the app basically does for our end users, right? Where does all that sit? Where does the app and the data store normally sit? Where? A server, right? Some data center somewhere, right? Cloud or not cloud, you can call it whatever you want to, but the reality is it's sitting on a server somewhere. Is it useful there? No. It's really only useful once we get it out to the actual endpoints to where the end user can use it, whether that's a tablet or an iPad, or I guess an iPad is a tablet. The cold medicine, I didn't mention the cold medicine. I mentioned having the cold, but not the cold medicine. So the cold medicine will be blamed for everything going forward. So laptops, iPads, phones, those kind of things. Now, I'm going to argue real quick, I'm going to stipulate that this is the logical architecture of 98% of the projects you've worked on over the last 2 years. Anyone want to disagree? No, I don't think we can. And frankly, it's probably the logical architecture of the next 2 years worth of projects that we're working on for the most part, 98% anyway, right? I think this is what Pat saw. In his head, he's thinking, Chip, there are 3 little boxes up there, buddy. I really, man, I just need you. I know I don't pay you that much money, but I really just need you to put a padlock on those 3 boxes for me. Could you do that? Is it that simple? But we just agreed 2 minutes ago that this was the logical architecture, right? But it's not that simple. Why is it not that simple? Different systems. It gets replicated, right? It may be the logical architecture, but the reality is it gets replicated over and over again. And over again, and over and over and over and over. A lot of times we don't even know about it. We coined this cute little term, shadow IT. Sounds fantastic and cute and quaint. It's probably one of the most nefarious things I've ever heard of. I'll give you my personal example, right? So I had to sign off on everything that went into production, meaning that somebody from security had, reviewed it. Well, we would assign an architect, a security architect, to join the project at its kickoff so that there were no surprises at the end, and we had built in security by design, right? So I get this invite that says, hey, Chip, we need you to show up in the conference room, a production turnover meeting for Project Falcon. Okay, well, I've never heard of Project Falcon, so I will go to my security architects. I'm like, hey, man, somebody briefed me on Falcon. I haven't heard anything about this. They're like, don't know what you're talking about, never heard of Falcon. Okay, so what's happened is our project team has just mixed up the invite, messed it up. It's really a launch, not a turnover. I go downstairs. Funny story, because I'm literally standing at the end of the table like, the little Godfather guy, right? And the line of business, the senior VPs, she's on the other side of that table. And so I said, hey, I'm sorry I don't have a whole lot of time. I'll assign you an architect as soon as we get you launched. I just didn't have one, I didn't recognize this on my calendar until now. And she goes, we don't need a security architect. I'm like, well, you're going to need one as you go through the process of the production, the development cycle. And she goes, we're done. I'm like, no, you misunderstand, right? Because we have to approve things in security, right? And I noticed at that point in time in the room that this half of the table, I kind of sort of recognize, right? They work in my organization for me or anything, but they work in our company. But this side of the table, I didn't recognize a single soul. I didn't know who they were. So I said, you need to understand that you need to get our approval to do that. And she said, that's why we called you today, was so we could get your approval. I said, okay, all right, I'm kind of following here. I said, but when do you expect to go live? And she said, Friday. And I said, well, that's crazy talk, because you can't get testing done between now and then, because you need my access for us to give you what we called lab data, not lab access, lab data, which was mock data to hand to their team to do it. And she said, Chip, we've hired this company, all these people you don't recognize, and they're there to help us get through this process. I said, fantastic, but they still need my data. And I happened to notice that these two guys closest to me kind of were looking at each other just a little bit funny. So I then said, well, okay, once we get you lab data, now you're going to need lab access. And I noticed that 3 heads start to swivel. I kind of caught on like you have, and I'm like, and then you got to get formal sign-off so that we can put the production data on a web server somewhere because this is a web app. And about that time, this whole side about loses all of their heads as it literally looks like this, right? And they finally apparently nominate some poor soul at the end of that to get up and tell me, Mr. Crane, and I don't consider myself a Mr. Crane, but he did that day. Mr. Crane, yes, we might already have access to your lab data right now. That's impossible. Well, we just copied it from the replication of the database. You get the drill, right? You want to know the truth? My production data was sitting on their web server in a data center I had never seen before, didn't know about. Shadow IT is one of the worst things I can imagine. So, replication is one problem. What else is another problem we have? Okay, I have teenagers. I am not afraid of awkward silence. I will embrace it. What else? That's right, people. I heard you say people. Not really. I didn't really hear you say that. I needed you to say people. Okay, people. So we have to ask ourselves who has access to the data. And then the minute you ask who, what do you have to then know? It's what? What do they have access to, right? Because it's great that you're an HR person, but does that automatically give you access to the R&D data? Of course not, right? We all know better. So no. Okay, what else makes this complicated? Confidentiality, very true. That makes everything complicated, including personal relationships. So, where does all this sit again? What did you guys say earlier? On a server. And then how does it get around the environment? Through infrastructure, right? Through network devices, all those great things. Let's call that infrastructure. Sorry? I still can't hear you. It's the head cold. I'm blaming the medicine. What? Okay, all right. So, that's enough because you guys are kind of exhausted with the interactive part of the story, so we'll move on. I can see we're waning. So, all right, let's do this then. You guys look really gifted. I like it. You've just been appointed as CISO. So check with your HR department, by the way. I've already talked to them too. It's John Smith. Look for John Smith in HR. He'll take care of the pay. So this is your environment. This is what you have. What do you want to do now? Encrypt everything. Fantastic. I love that. You can encrypt everything. Is that always going to solve all of my problems? Nope. I love the blank stares when I ask that question. I tell people they're in charge because honestly, it's one of those defining moments in life when you realize that you know all the questions that your former boss used to ask and you knew most of the answers that the underlings were going to give him. But when you're the one that just got promoted to the job and you're in charge of that, things change a lot, right? A lot. So let me help you. Can I be your CISO consultant? Awesome. So I do have the luxury to coach a lot of CISOs, and this is the hardest part to get them to grasp on, especially if they've come up through the ranks. You're a C-level. You're C-level now. You don't have to worry about how it's going to get done. You have to worry about what needs to be done. You have a brilliant staff that can handle how it's going to get done. You have solution providers that can help you with how it's going to get done. There's only one person on the planet that does your role, that figures out what actually needs to be done. Now, you should get some help. I'm not saying you should do this on your own. But I'm simply saying so many times we see the CISO guys are all caught up in how. How are we going to solve this problem? That's not your job. You're a CISO. You're a C-level person. You need to figure out what's going to happen, and we'll figure out how to make it happen, right? So, with that being said, what do you want to pick on? There's a couple of boxes up there. Give me something to pick on. The data, okay. He wants to go after the data. as your consultant, let me tell you what I would want you to do. I'd basically want you to lock this down. Sound fair? Easy enough? Come on, we're executives. So but really, what I really want you to do is, I want you to have this as policy-based. And what I mean by that is, okay, you're in HR, you should get HR data. Pretty obvious, right? We have a remote work policy. So frankly, I'll let you work from anywhere. It's cool with me, and you can still access the HR data. But why don't we keep that to things like, where you sit in the organization, cube, right? What your cube number is or office number. Why don't we keep your phone number? Why don't we do all those generic things that is in the HR data but isn't PII, personally identifiable information? I could see, as a CISO, I'm cool with you getting access to all that. But when you're ready to access PII, even my zip code, now, you know what? I really want a policy that says you have to be in your home office or you have to be in my office, the building. Is that okay? Okay. So, furthermore, you know what? If you're going to access executive stuff, like our PII or, our salaries or something like that, maybe I want you absolutely in our office and only between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. because I can't dream up a good scenario. You should be looking at salaries at 7:45 at night. Not a whole lot good comes from that, right? Okay. You know what else I'd like to do as a CISO? I'd like to be able to say things like, you know what? You're in R&D, and on average, you access 20 records a week. That's 20 documents a week. And you're currently at 25 documents this week. That's a what, a 20% increase? Is Canadian math the same as US math? Okay, all right, 20%. All right, excuse me. So that's a 20% increase. So now what I want to do is I just want to alert your manager. I mean, maybe you're on a project and it's cool, but that's a significant increase. So I want to at least alert your manager. Now you've just picked up another 5 records or documents, so now you're at 30. That's a 40% increase. All of a sudden, I'm not as excited anymore. So I, as a CISO, would like the policy to just shut your access down, notify your manager, again, notify security, and now we'll make a decision on what we need to do next. Again, if you're on a project, no problem, we'll just turn it all back on, but that's a whole lot better than you exfiltrating all my data, right? You know what else would be cool? What if you could log in from New York at noon with legitimate credentials, meaning it was you, right? You access the data like we would expect, and then 2 hours later from the West Coast, I get valid credentials again. What's the likelihood of that happening? 50-50. Anybody in here an F-16 pilot? Darn, I was going to try to catch a ride. But so, no, very unlikely, right? So I want to shut that access down. That's how good I want to be. I want to be able to create policies and the tool to just go make that happen. Fair? All right, what's next? What's your name, by the way? I'm sorry. Fetty? Mary? Kegan? Kegan. I'm from the U.S. and the South on top of that. We got no hope of that one. Yes? Antonio. All right, so you guys are together, so all of you guys should really... All right, so hit me. What's next? The app. The app, okay. Is the app important? Do we need to worry about that? Well, yeah. Here's a quick tip. That hackers used to jump into our network any place they could find, and then they would hop around to another device and another device and another device until finally they found some piece of data. They really figured out that was ludicrous on their part because I pay a data steward to actually optimize the pathway from the data store up to the app. So over 54% of our breaches are now from the app. Has been that way for about 3 years now. So what I really want is I want the app to be hardened. I want us to be able to harden the app. And frankly, I'm kind of lazy as a CISO. I want to be able to buy some tool. I want to be able to just point it at the app, and I want it to take the app apart, pick it up, inspect it, and try exactly what a hacker would try, right? And if it even has just a morsel of success, I want it to let me know that, and I want it to give me a suggestion on how I could fix it. Fair enough? Okay. Oh, but you know what? What if I have the source? What if I don't have the source code? What if I bought it? Do I care? Not really.
You should.
Okay, next CISO. This is what I get all the time. Chip, I don't have to worry about that because we outsource that. That's exactly why you need to worry about this. Your team's not even in control of this anymore, right? So you can outsource the code development. Do we all agree with that? You can outsource somebody paying for problems inside, like an SLA kind of thing, right? Right? Okay. You can outsource liability, right? No, you can't. You cannot outsource liability. It isn't going to happen. If a fine is going to be levied, who are they going to fine? You. Now, you can have it in your contract that you're going to go and claw that money back, as they call it, from your provider. Cool, great, fun. But go do that because you're the one that's going to pay a fine. Second of all, guess what else you can outsource? Front page. You cannot outsource getting put on the front page. Anybody remember the headline a couple months back? CVS data has been hacked. You remember that? Was CVS hacked? No. CVS was never hacked. CVS's infrastructure was never touched. There was no insider threat. None of that ever happened. Was the headline legit? Listen to the headline again. CVS data was breached. Yes, because they had sent their data off-site to another third party to do some analyzing, and that person had gotten hacked. But I don't understand. Why didn't the news report it that way, that some minor third party, analyzing product provider out in Southern California got hacked? It's like a title at IBM, yeah. Because it doesn't sell newspapers. It doesn't sell clicks. It's not clickbait. And I'm not picking on the media, although, Lord, I could. The reality is you can't outsource what they're going to put on the front page. So you darn well better have this locked down. All right, what's next? Credentials, users, the who, right? I got to be honest, man. To me, this is way simpler than I think we make it, as a CISO anyway. I want something connected directly to the HR file. And when you get hired, you're probably going to give a 2-week notice, right? So you're going to go work somewhere else for 2 weeks. I don't even want your IDs to be created yet. During that 2 weeks, I want to figure out what role you were supposed to be in. HR should tell me that. And then I want to take whatever role that is and I want to map it exactly to the IDs that you should have precisely, right? And if those are things like the lunchroom menu, so what? Make it happen. We'll create it when it's time. If it's the gym schedule, make it happen. Who cares? It's the finance app? Oh, wait. I'd like to send out a notice to the finance owner that says, you really want this person to have access. I'd also like to go ahead and why not add the hiring manager as well, make sure they really meant to put that in there. I want the tool so smart that it can do all that for me automatically and record the response that it got back from those data stewards, right? That's what I want to happen. And then 5 minutes before you show up on your first day, no earlier, 5 minutes before you show up, I want the system to wake up. I want it to go out and provision all those particular IDs that's authorized for it to happen. And I want it to make your password something like your zip code, your date of birth, and your mother's maiden name or whatever. Because the minute you walk in, I want the security guard to welcome you to the business, hand you your badge, tell you to change your password. So that means I was vulnerable for 5 to 7 minutes, right? Depending on how long it takes you to walk from here to there. That's what I want out of a tool. And then as you get promoted through the organization, I want it to literally just crush all of your other, no. Really, I want it to stack. Is that right? I want it to stack all the access on top. You guys are supposed to be security guys. You should be saying no right now. Come on. No, we never want to stack. We really want to get away with all of your previous access and just create the new access. And you know what? Since you have access to the finance app, we have a policy that says that you should be recertified every 90 days. I want the tool to just take care of that for me. Same way with contractors. Why don't we do it with contractors too? Why don't we say that, you know what? The contractor was supposed to be here for 60 days. So at 55 days, I'll send a note to the manager and see if they want to extend his contract. If not, then we'll just kill him right off the bat. Sorry, we'll kill his access right off the bat. So on top of this, what's going to happen as soon as someone's NHR is terminated? I want the tool to automatically go out instantly, no delay. I want it to go out and take away all that access. All right, fair enough. What's next? Excuse me. What's next? You want the infrastructure or you want the laptops?
Yeah, well,
Infrastructure. Okay. All right. I got competing fashions over here. He was the CISO, so we'll go after infrastructure. Yeah, you were. I did fire you, but you're interim CISO for the moment. I never forget. So This is even simpler. I want to order something. I want it to show up on the dock. I want to take a box cutter, slice it open, plug it in the network, plug it into the wall for power. I want it to listen to everything that goes on my network. I wanted to take all that information and I wanted to compare it to known threat signatures and known threat vectors. And if something bad is happening, I wanted to let me know right away. And if it's bad enough, maybe I wanted to actually take some remediation action. Cold medicine is a wonderful thing. So I wanted to literally maybe quarantine things, right? Maybe I wanted to actually isolate individual components of the network. Maybe I wanted to actually subset the entire network for reasons of productivity, right? I don't know, but that's what I wanted to happen. Is that cool? You okay with that? Not impressing you yet? Okay, I'm gonna work on this. I have a goal now. Excuse me. So that's cool. So now we will instantly be ready for known threat signatures and known threat vectors. But what does it take for it to be known? What had to happen for it to be known? Research is cool, but the reality is what normally happens for known. Somebody else paid a price, right? We call it 0-day attacks. Somebody else has already paid the price. Hey man, I like this new CISO gig and I saw how short yours was. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you, man, about your short-term CISO job, so I want to keep the job. So I don't want there to be any 0-day attacks for me. So what I really want this tool to do is, I want the tool to just watch my network. Now I know this isn't going to be out of the box, but it shouldn't take but a few weeks for me to be able to, for the tool to be able to watch my network and be able to say, this is what normal looks like. This is what good looks like. This is a good state. And as a CISO, I'd like to be able to turn a dial that says, you know what, if 7.9% changes, or my environment changes by 7.9%, I want to be alerted. Maybe I even want to be able to say that, if it changes by 7.9, I actually want to start doing things. And if it changes by 9.1, then I want to be able to start taking serious remediation actions. The same actions I would if it were a known threat vector. That's what I want out of an infrastructure tool, right? Awesome. Now you can pick anything else you want on the thing, anything at all. Just you choose. Anything at all. Go ahead.
You gotta figure it out.
You think so? You want to go with that one? Okay, good. Policy-based, the same words. But check this out. Do I own this equipment anymore?
No.
Very likely, right? So as a CISO, that terrifies me. So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to write policy that says, hey, this shall be password protected. And oh, by the way, the password should be this long and this strong. Oh, and this shall be patched. This shall be at a certain OS level. This shall be containerized. And thou shalt have access to remote wipe that container, right? That's what I want to do as a CISO, even though I don't own the equipment. That's what I want to have. And you know what? I know this is a little bit greedy, but I'm a little bit of a greedy CISO. I even want to say things like, if thou ist use this password for Facebook, then thou shalt not use it on my network, or LinkedIn, or Yahoo, because those tend to end up on pastebin. Who knows what pastebin is? Oh, don't go research that then. Absolutely not. So you want to be very careful because those get hacked. I'll leave it at that. All right? So that's what I want. I want that kind of level of policy-based pieces for my endpoint. Now, if Pat came to me and I had all these bases covered, how do I feel? Better? I feel better? Because you know what, Pat? Man, I got all your bases covered. And I've got a person watching the data problem, the person watching an app problem, a person watching the people problem, a person watching the infrastructure, and a person watching the endpoint management. And we're a little bit worried about coordinated attacks, so I have them talk a lot to each other. Realistic? Of course not. So what do I want as a CISO? I want a security incident and event management system. And I want that to take information from all those security tools up into it, and I want it to take, because this is going to generate a little bit of traffic, right? So like 50 or 100 records a day maybe? No? Maybe a few more? No, man. As a CISO, I am a little bit smart enough to know, not on cold meds, but normally, a little bit smart enough to know that that's going to be millions of records every day. So this tool better be scalable. It better be able to take maybe even 100 million, maybe even 1 billion records in a day and consolidate and correlate that. And it needs to figure out for me exactly what an actual offense is. That's what I want out of a SIM tool. So now, once I've got that, now Pat, buddy, friend, pal, I've got all your bases covered. I got all this information flowing up into one spot. So if something bad happens in our environment, we're going to be ready. If something bad happens in our environment. I think TJ Maxx would agree with you. I think CVS, I think a lot of other companies would agree with you. So it's not if something bad happens, it's when something bad happens. So you know what? I want a cyber emergency response tool or team. And I want the SIM so smart it figures out exactly what's broken and how bad it is, and then it's actually going to kick off this cyber emergency response tool or team. That's what I want as a CISO. I know I'm a little greedy, right? But let me ask you this. So do we know how to respond to an incident today? We're doing it, right? How are we doing it? How? Poorly. That's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Very poorly for certain companies, but that's beside the point. You know what we're doing? We have this thing we call the run book or the playbook. And I always love to talk to CISOs about this. And they're like, Chip, I really don't need that, buddy. We have our playbook. And I'm like, great, bring it out. They'll bring it out. It takes a little effort to open it up, right? Because they haven't opened it up in months. Years. Yeah, I'm trying to be nice, man. I'm trying to be nice. So they haven't opened up in forever, and now all of a sudden, they have to worry about this, right? And they tell me, no, Chip, it's okay. We've updated. I literally, true story, hypothetically true story. I walk in and he goes, no, I got you this time, man. I'm good. We just finished this. We just finished our playbook. I said, fantastic. How good is it? He goes, it's phenomenal. We had one of the same DoD contractors that all of us have worked with in the past. They helped me build this. So I got you this time, Chip. I said, cool. That's good. Hey, turn to the page at which threshold you're supposed to notify the rest of the organization of a breach. He said, that's not funny. I said, well, what about when you're supposed to notify your board that you've had a breach? Nothing. He's silent now. When are you supposed to notify the local authorities or the FBI or Interpol? Dead silence. In fact, I'll let you know when he starts talking to me again, but right now he hasn't said a word in months. But the reality is we need that. We act like we have it because we have some archaic playbook. The reality is you need something that's going to be updated with regulations. You need something that's going to automatically do these things for you. This is not a good place for a human to play. Quite frankly, it doesn't make sense to have the humans have to do it. So now, Pat, friend, buddy, friend, pal, I've got all your bases covered. All that's going into one spot. And if something bad happens, when something bad happens, we know exactly how to respond. So when something bad happens in our environment, we know what to do. Are we there? Is this good enough? When something bad happens in my environment. Man, how cool would it be if we could take all those billions of events and we were able to analyze those, right? The same way we analyze our business data over and over and over again. What if we were able to look for things like, stray unpatched machines, new network ports? What if we were able to look at things like credentials that haven't been changed in X number of days? Or, what if we analyze this the same way we analyze our business data? We could actually become proactive to making our environment better every single day. Every day we could get a little bit better. So now we could look at Pat and say, it's not when something bad happens, it's when something happens in our environment. In our environment. I'm a little greedy. What's happening in the company beside us? What's happening in another company on the other side of that? What's happening in companies in our same industry? How cool would it be if we had a worldwide research organization that's whole job was to go and look at other environments like ours, maybe even manage other environments. And how cool would it be if they stayed in tune with the dark web, right? And they did the exact same analytics that we do over and over and over again. And how cool would it be if they would take their learnings every day, print them out, shove them in an envelope, put them in the front seat of a car, drive them to the post office, they come to us, the next day we read them and make changes. See, you're conflicted there. It's an ironic question because you want the information, but you know that my reference to snail mail cannot be good. How cool would it be that if they took that learning and they gave us a direct feed? What if every day when I walked in, not only did I learn from my environment, but I learned from hundreds, maybe even thousands of other environments? How cool would that be if this system was getting that much better every single day? And then we could deploy our guys, our people, to go out and update the rest of the apps. But you know what? Did I say I was greedy and lazy? Yeah, that's the head cold talking. But how cool would it be if they could just automatically update those pieces for me? What if they would literally just find new known threat vectors or signatures and go and be able to update that for me? What if they could find, common misconfigurations and go and fix that for me? What if they could find patches that needed to be deployed that instead of even bothering sending me a notice, they just literally went and updated my device for me? How cool would that be? Pat, buddy, friend, pal, we are getting so much better every day because we have all the bases covered. We send it all up into one spot. We know what to do when something very bad happens. But when something happens in our environment, we're already using that to get better. And when something happens in the industry, we're using that to get better. Pretty impressive statement, right? Thank you. So, you guys are CEO material, obviously. I see that. I think your business card said that too, right? You guys are awesome. You've done a phenomenal job. You had this idea right before you got the job that you wanted to create this app. And the app was awesome. And what you did is you took some app dev team and you carved them out and said, listen, I need them for a few weeks because I need this app way sooner than what you're going to give it to me. So you went and you had it built. And they were awesome. They got it done under time frame and under budget. Pretty incredible. Well done. Well done. Give yourselves a hand. Okay, you guys are pretty stoic. You are CEOs. Okay, so what's even better than that is your clients love it. Social media is a buzz. It says things like, wow, this is the best app I've ever had. Wow, this company gets me. Everyone should work with this company. I wish this company sold groceries so I could buy my groceries from them. That's how good you have the vision of your clients, right? The press has picked up on this, so you're going for an interview 2 days from now, national media, so exciting. Actually though, you know what? I just realized that your app tool, the tool that you use, Mr. CISO, I just sent you a message. That's okay, I understand you're multitasking. You want us to wait? We can wait until you're done with the text. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, so your app tool just sent you a notice that said that there's a vulnerability in the app that your CEO's developed. His pet project. Oh, I didn't mean to say pet project. Sorry, that's not right. His fundamental project has a vulnerability in it, and customer data could be exposed. Now, notice I did not say we have a breach. I said we have a vulnerability, and we have data that could be exposed. What do you want to do, CISO?
Get it fixed.
Get it fixed. I love it. Spoken like a true C-level guy. Okay, what are you going to do to get it fixed? Let's narrow this down a little bit more. What's getting leaked? Nothing's leaked yet. What I'm telling you is I can tell you exactly in the line of code where it is, because that's what the tool found you. It's told you that you're vulnerable to SQL injection, which is just some funky text that we know how to cheat with, right? So, and it's telling you exactly what app has that problem with, where this is in the code, and it's even giving you a recommendation to fix it. What would you like to do? Because right now, this very moment, while we sit here and have this long discussion, your data is sitting out there on a web server and a hacker could get to it. Shut it down. What? Pull the plug. Pull the plug. Pull the plug. Okay. While you two go and talk to your CEO, because I'm not going with you, but I won't play the game. CEOs, we would like to shut the application that you like so much down because you have vulnerability problems. What would you like to do?
Go. You have 5 minutes to fix it.
I have 5 minutes to fix it. Almost spoken like a true CEO. I thought you were going to say, no, kill it, it's okay, because I was going to say, you were doing so well as a CEO. I hate that you blew that. But here's how this conversation truly goes. Hypothetically, I've been in this room. I'm the CEO, right? You're the CISO? Yeah. Go fix this. Go fix this now. I pay you a crap ton of money for this crap not to happen to me. I expect you to go get this done right now. You understand?
I already got fired, mate.
Yeah, you did. That's why we put you up there first, was so you could take this beating for us, whoever your successor is, right? So they want you to fix it and fix it right now. So what do you do? Who's app dev here? What do you do next? I'm ignoring that, I'm sorry. She gave me 10-minute sign. I got like 30. I'm okay, don't worry. I can talk for more than 10 minutes, don't worry, it's okay. So who's in here in app dev? So you know what we normally get told? We normally get told, don't worry about it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go take our best coders, and probably the guys that worked on that tool to begin with, we're going to put them in a broom closet, right? We're going to shove pizza underneath one side of the door and Red Bull underneath the other side of the door, right? And we're going to have them code all weekend long until it's fixed. And then they're going to come out and we're going to automatically promote that to production. Yeah. I call this crash coding. And it introduces 4 problems, statistically, 4 problems to 1. I'll tell you a quick story because she told me I had 30 more minutes left. That hypothetically, this situation happened. We're standing in the middle of this great big room. The CISO is a great guy, very dedicated to his customers' loyalty, and they're protecting their data. So what he's done is he's basically taken his whole IT department in that wing and said, we're all here to test. The coders have coded it for us. They've put it in. We went ahead and just put it into production, and we all need to go and test this, right? So the room is literally dead silent. All you hypothetically hear are keyboards clicking and mouses moving, right? Nothing else. He and I standing in the middle of the room, literally, it's sad, standing in the middle of the room like this, and we hear, huh, from behind us, about 3 rows back. So we go to investigate. He's very upset, so he gets back there, and the kid's name was Derek. Derek, what have you found? He goes, no, well, hold on. He goes, nothing's broken. I'm not saying it's broken. He says, so far the test is still running well. Well then, Derek, why the remark? Why the gasp? Why the sigh? He says, well, Mr. CISO, you see this section over here on the portlet? Yes, I do. He says, yeah, that's not in this version of code. That's in next version of code. They had done exactly what they always do as coders. They had went and checked out the same file they checked out yesterday, which was the next revision of code. This had not been through unit testing, sandbox testing, cohabitation testing, any testing whatsoever, and it now sits on a production server serving his client, generating $2 million a month with code that had literally never been tested, still had debugging lines in it. So we want to make sure that we get this right? So on this side, we've got shut it down. On this side, we've got crash coding, which doesn't seem very well. So what I like to say in the middle is we're going to have the dev team go and test it and really program it correctly and all that. And I like to simulate that by this. Dear great God, please do not let us get hacked during the time that we test this code, right? That's the reality of what happens. As a CISO, as a greedy CISO, how cool would it be that at the same time you got that email, how cool would it be if the tool literally said, SQL injection looks like this. This app is at this range of IPs. So infrastructure tool, how about you not letting text that looks like this come to this range of IP addresses? We could have a virtual patch done before you read the email. Pat, buddy, friend, pal, I've got all your bases covered. All that information is flowing into one SIM. We know exactly what to do when something goes wrong. We're analyzing that and we're getting better every single day. We're taking information from a worldwide research company that pumps that in. We're literally getting better by leaps and bounds, every day. And on top of that, when we do find a vulnerability, we can actually fix it before we even told anybody else about it. Pretty impressive, right? Ready to drop the mic? I am, because my CISO consulting days are now over. Sorry, man. I know you lost the job during it. Count as a failure on me. Write 3 letters. If you don't know that joke, I'll tell you that joke another day. But so I have to go, but I don't want to leave you alone. It's not fair. So I'd like to be able to give you a consultant also, a secondary consultant. This consultant, I want him to be super smart in security, So I want him to read like, 5, 10 articles a day. And I want him to be able to look at your environment 24/7. And I want him to be smart, so I want him to read 50 to 100 articles a day for security. And I want him to know things about SANS and NIST, and I want him to be super smart, so he should read 500 to 600 articles a day. And I want him to know about government regulations, and I want him to read 1,000 to 2,000 articles a day. And I want him to be able to surf social media and the dark web and read 1 million articles a day. That's what I want for your consultant. I want him that good. His name is Watson. How did you know? You know what? Sadly, his name is actually QRadar Advisor. Leave it to IBM to miss naming him Watson like we should have. Yes, he's Watson, right? So I talk to CISOs about this, and they look at me and they go, Chip, this is cool. We appreciate your time. That's nice and all. But, buddy, that's not real. And that's when I get the luxury to say, talk to a business partner. We can demo this for you tomorrow. I can show you everything we just talked about. I can show you a demo of this figuratively tomorrow, because I'm going home tonight. I've been on the road for far too long. But day after tomorrow, Monday, I can show you a demo on this, right? We can actually show you a demo on this. Everything we just talked about is real, and it can happen. So then I get the question of, yes, Chip, but I'm going to the cloud. I understand that. I do. If you would like, you can put any part of this on the cloud that you would like to. You can put any part of this you want to on-prem, and we can do that as well. And frankly, we can put any part of this as a hybrid solution that you would like to be on cloud and not on cloud. It's totally up to you. I give them the dry erase marker and tell them to go circle what you want is what, and I'll make it happen. So that's the case, right? Impressive? I think so. So then I get the last question is Chip, I would love to have this, I just don't think we can afford it. And that's when I go, all right, thanks a lot, I appreciate your time. Sorry, just kidding, I'm just kidding. That's when we say to them, hey, you don't have to take all of this at one time. You don't have to do this for everything under the environment. I have some really smart clients right now that are taking individual projects that have a large ROI or even a small ROI, but are very mission critical to the business, and we'll wrap it with this environment for them.